Well, this is our last week of examining the theme of cultivating relationship. Of all of the relationships that we will ever be in during the course of our lives, the relationship that we often think about the least is the one that we have with ourselves. Why is that? Well, for a lot of us, just getting through the day is about as much as we can do. Our focus is just on getting it done. But what would happen if we were to take the time to think about not just how we were with the people around us, our friends, our family, the people we work with, the people we go to church with, but with ourselves? What would that even look like? Well, there's the obvious, thinking about what we wear, what we eat, how much we sleep. Those are the things we must do, just the basics, the things we engage in without a whole lot of intention. We just do them. And we engage in those things. They're just the things we all have to do. But there are other things that we spend more time thinking about or planning, and sometimes we don't even get to them. Whether or not we will exercise and how much. Will we engage in a spiritual practice? Will we learn something new? Will we work those extra hours? Will we go to church? Stuff that we may not think that we have to do, just the extra stuff. But what is extra when it comes to what we are thinking about doing or what we want to do for ourselves? Where does what is extra start? One of the things we are often asked not to be is selfish. And for some of us, that may play into our thinking a lot. We engage in mental gymnastics, talking ourselves out of something because we don't think we need it, or maybe we're concerned about what someone else will think if we do that one thing for ourselves. And some of us think about how it will affect another person. And we have good reason to be concerned. What happens when people engage in behavior to benefit themselves without regard to others? A lot of what is wrong with the world is wrong for precisely that reason. People sometimes do what they do for themselves without regard for the impact that their actions could have on others. And then there's the flip side. When we worry about everyone but ourselves, being selfless. For many of us, the first impulse is to reach out and help someone even before we help ourselves. There may even be a little bit of guilt involved when we decide that we want to do something or have something that is all for us. But just like in any relationship that we might have with someone external to us on the outside, the relationship that we have with ourselves on the inside doesn't have to be all or nothing. Anyone who has ever flown has gotten the reminder that when the cabin depressurizes, you have to put on your own oxygen mask before you try to help those around you who need help putting on theirs. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you really can't take care of anyone else. There is some happy medium between the land of selfish and selfless. I think we can all agree that being entirely selfless is not being healthy or good. Neither is being selfish, for different reasons, though. There are times where perhaps each way of being, or when each way of being is advantageous, but how do we find the balance? How do we manage to be in right relationship with ourselves? We think about how that works with others. Perhaps we find it when we engage in self-care. And our Unitarian Universalist values can help us with that. The most obvious guideposts for what they are can be found in our principles. Our first principle asks us to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And one of the people whose inherent worth and dignity we need to affirm and promote is ours too. We need to make sure that we have what we need to be healthy and to be happy. But that can't be where we stop if we want to achieve balance. We can run through all of the principles and can point to different ones that would help us to achieve balance between what is selfless and selfish and still be good to ourselves. But I think that the one that is most relevant to and supportive of the notion of balance is the seventh principle, which asks us to affirm and promote the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. If we're all connected and we are mindful of that, the attention that we pay to our inherent worth and dignity, our selfishness ends where injury to others begins. Acknowledging the existence of the interdependent web spoken of in the seventh principle makes this exercise a little bit easier. And at the same time, when we lift up the inherent worth and dignity of others, it shouldn't negatively impact on our own if we are all connected and we are mindful of it and act accordingly. Talking about the relationship that we cultivate with ourselves and the role that the interdependent web plays on Halloween is not such a strange thing. The interdependent web of all existence can also extend to the things that we cannot see. Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, Samhain, All Souls Days, these are all celebratory events that acknowledge those who are departed from us. It is a time for those of us who believe we can commune with the dead, to honor them, but also to implore them for their assistance in helping us gain greater insight into who we are and what our path might be, what that inner relationship might look like. The communion that is predicated upon the belief that the veil between the physical and the spiritual world is the thinnest at this time of year. But that really creates a conundrum for us. While there may be some otherworldly beings that we might want to communicate with and honor, there are also some that we do not. As our opening words say, we are at the base of another bridge. And to close our service today, instead of hearing recorded music or making music, all of us are going to participate in creating noise from the comfort of our personal sanctuaries to chase away all of those entities who might be lurking around at this time of year, precisely because the veil is so thin.